This episode is supported by Battlefilm.com. Hello everybody, before we kick into the show, I have been joined by Richard from Too Fat Lardies because Richard has a prize up for grabs. So Rich, what is it?
Well, we've got the ultimate chain of command starter bundle for you. We've got the rules, we've got the jump off points, we've got the tokens, we've got the dice, and we've got 2 sets of patrol markers, axis and allies. So it really is everything you need to get started with chain of command, apart from the figures. You can get them yourself.
Alright, well guys, if you want your chance to win this great prize, get your comments in on Beasts of War, YouTube or Facebook. We'll move on and let you get on with the show.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Weekender. I am Az, and with me today we have Justin.
Hello.
And we have Ben.
Hello.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Warren, of course, is not with us, but for very good reasons. Warren and his wife Andrea had a new baby boy, Jack Johnson, on Monday just past there. So very much congratulations to them. If you're a backstage member, tomorrow in the XLBS on Sunday, we'll have a little picture. You can see Warren and Jack together, which is great. If you're not a backstage member, why aren't you? Pick up a 7-day trial. Come and check it out if you want to see what we get up to on Sunday. So, big week for those guys. Well, for me, I always feel bad because my mum and my female friends would always say, so how was the baby? What's the weight of the baby? Are they healthy? What's the hair colour? Who they named after? Is it Jack a grandfather? I never think to ask these questions, ever. Yeah. I just go, is the baby healthy? Mummy healthy? Family all good? Congratulations. See you later.
That's pretty much how I come from things, I think, as well. So
I get broody.
Broody to have a little one?
Yeah. As soon as alright, if there is a new baby in the family, we're in the hospital, everything's fantastic, everybody's gooing and gahing at the new ba.
Gooing and gahing at the new ba, wow.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit country. Shut up.
That's from some cartoon show, clearly.
Yeah, that's a strapline.
Yeah. Always it gets to my turn to hold the new baby, and you know it's in my arms, it's just lying there, sleeping peacefully, and I'm just sitting there going,
Oh, really? Oh, man. Yeah. See, I'm kind of the opposite. I won't even really hold a newborn baby until they're like 2.
But hang on, whenever they're smaller, they're easier to hold.
No, but they're so breakable
and fragile. They're not like real people at that point, if you know what I mean. They always feel like... No, they always feel like they're delicate little flowers that you don't want to destroy. And you're like, oh my God.
You hear all those stories about, they've got a soft spot in their head. And
the skull's not knit together yet.
Yeah. Look, if you're going to pass me a baby that's under 2, I want to be sitting down in a sofa that's 4 feet deep. Yeah. So there's just no way.
Safety first.
Safety for the baby, because once they're 2 and they've got a little personality and they're running about and stuff and they bump into things and they just go, oh, and laugh it off and run on. That's when Uncle Al. I have a nephew and niece. Like I have 15 and 17. Get myself right. Once they get to teenagers, who keeps track anymore?
Yeah.
And
so they're teenagers and they're still bumping their heads. Something's wrong here.
Oh yeah. They love their judo, love their roaring. They like their martial arts, as I often find out. So like when they were young, so I was obviously much younger. So I was late teens myself, and I think at that point I was like, no, I just can't do it. And since then, I've kind of developed this unwanting need to not hurt them. Like,
I don't know. There are some fathers out there who, as soon as they have a kid, they start to develop like a sixth sense for when something is about to go wrong with the kid. No, there are videos I watch on YouTube the odd time where it's epic dad saves, right?
Yeah.
And it shows the little one just taunting along the top of a sofa and tipping out the side, and the dad just shoots his arm out and catches it about an inch off the floor. And it's just like, that's some skill right there. Well played, that man.
Throwing a pillow into the room next door and just seeing the kid fall under the pillow.
I've seen that happen. It's weird. I've also seen a kid on the swings, and as the kid goes forward, they fall backwards out of it, do a backflip, and the dad is just like, no.
maybe I should have a kid to develop spidey senses then. Maybe that's where I'm missing out. But anyway, congratulations to Warren and Andrea. It's absolutely fantastic and the best reason to have a couple of weeks paternity off work.
Yeah.
So what do we have coming up then? So tomorrow, not only do we have the XLBS, of course, for you guys to watch from home, but we're actually holding a Warhammer 40k open day in the studio. So we'll stick a link to the Facebook event. Normally, we would say when we have our gaming days on Sundays, we usually have some Saga, we have some board games, we have a mixture of stuff going on. We have sometimes some All Out War, some Walking Dead, sometimes some 40k as well. This is specifically just going to be a day of 40k, and it's just to meet and greet people. And usually, I would say if you're local, come by, but forget if you're local. If you're watching this and it's Saturday, if you're watching it the day it releases, and you fancy coming over tomorrow, and you live in, I don't know, Argentina,
Okay, so you, sir, the man, right there.
Here, do it right in.
Sitting in New Zealand right now. What you need to do is you need to get on a flight like right now.
Right now.
And you will probably get in here for like one final hour of gaming on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Come and join us.
Because time travel's a thing when you're flying, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be fine. You'll be here before you left. Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird when it happens.
So yeah, this is generally a chance just to meet 40k gamers. If any of you are local by any chance, or indeed don't mind coming further afield, please come down. We're not charging or anything. It's just open to come and play and hopefully meet some new people. And I'm hoping to get absolutely thrashed.
I'm looking forward to it. I really want to get in and play with some of the armies that you guys have got here in the studio and stuff. It'll be really nice.
I'm actually going to break out my new Death Guard. I still need to prime them.
So that's happening. We may do more in the future. This one's just gone out as a Facebook thing. It's really a community thing, rather than a boot camp or anything we sell tickets for. So it's just open time. If you want to come in even for an hour just to say hello, you can do that as well. As for next weekend,
yes.
Now all three of us sitting here, Ben, Justin, and myself, are all going to be in Germany, and we're going to be in Germany for Essen Spiel. And I would say that we're the dream team, but actually it's probably down to the fact that we're the three in the studio that don't mind flying, and we're the three in the studio that kind of embrace board games. It's
more or less it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like to think I bring some technical skill to the operation. Just a smidge. Oh! Who are you, buddy? When you're dying and drowning acid, I'm going to let you drown.
Oh, man. Oh, no. I've lost my out now. Oh, well.
So, Essen Spiel, last year was 174,000 people. So, I'm terrified. You guys have done Gen Con, though. So, you have at least a good idea of the scale of what this is going to be.
All right. Don't panic, Mr. Rennering. Don't panic.
It's going to be... I need to grow myself a moustache and get a proper little round glasses.
No. The important thing to remember going to any event is get there early, get your setup done, and just get up and running.
Yep.
Get things happening as quickly as you can. So if you panic, you will have basically... Well, if you are in trouble, if you are in doubt, run a little circles and wave your arms about.
Is that like a children's TV show that you got that advice from?
No. Actually, it's a non-sanctioned Imperial Guard rhyme.
Oh, there you go. So.
All right, wowie. If anyone has a link to where that's from, if you have an original document for that, I'd like to see it. But basically, we're going to be running a live blog Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 4 days of Essen Spiel is going to have tons of board game content. There will be some miniature stuff dragged in. There are a few of our companies that we know well. They're going to be there, so there will be stuff miniatures-wise, terrain-wise, and stuff as well. We know like the Game Mad EU guys are going to be there. We know the Mythic Games guys are going to be there. There's a huge mix. It's a massive thing. There's going to be no weekender next weekend, but we're not leaving you in the lurch. So next Saturday, we have an extra special treat. Justin, you sat down with Rob from Mantic Games.
Yes.
And they're just in the process now of ramping up to our big new release, Vanguard.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So next Saturday, look out for that. We're going to have an interview with Justin and Rob sitting down and chatting about Vanguard. So you can get all the details about that. So that'll be out on Saturday. On Sunday, if you're a backstager, because we won't have an XLBS, we wanted to give you guys a little something as well. So we'll have a return. It's been quite a while, actually. We're going to have a new design studio. Ben, you sat down with Michael?
Yeah, so it was Michael Shinal, talking about sort of his history in games and things like that, which would be really fun. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, it'd be wicked to see how that all comes together and stuff. So,
and you do get a little bit of a chat about Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that in there thrown in, which is pretty cool. But obviously, it's nice to hear a little bit about the past behind what got people into the business and stuff, and just finding out sort of what makes them tick as well.
Yeah. So we're going to have actually some new content coming out. Now, we'll release full details on it tomorrow in the backstage as well. But if you like your minis, we have a brand new game that we're going to start having a ton of Let's Plays and ton of content and chats about starting in a couple of weeks' time. I'm not going to say any more. What else do we have going on then? Full of updates this week. So the Beast of War Awards are open. So again, we're into the second week of the voting now for the 13 categories. So you can go ahead and choose your winner of the top 5. We've already had thousands of people going on and voting in the categories, which is great, but we want more. So if you haven't done it already, we'll put a link in the show notes, and also we'll show it here, and you can share it with your friends, which would be absolutely fantastic. Anyone, you obviously don't go out there and put it in places you don't think it's going to be well received, but just go ahead and share it out and get people who might be interested, because we've got board games, card games, miniatures games, we've got artists, we've got sculpts, we've got role-playing. There's something there for everyone, and hopefully at least some of the categories you really feel passionate about, and there's something there to vote on. You've obviously got the mystery prize as well.
Yeah.
So the big black box full of treats, we'll reveal full details of that once voting does close. So please share that out there. I had a real hard time voting on a couple of them. Some of them for me were clear cut, but other ones I sat looking for quite
I think there was one category I actually looked at, and it was just like, I don't really have an opinion on this, so I actually skipped one.
Oh, well, 1 out of 13 is not bad.
Yeah, but it is nice to have that option to skip one, so that
Yeah.
you're at least getting a quality result in.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard to find times to play miniatures, board, card, and role playing. There's usually going to be something that kind of.
Yeah, I think it actually was the role playing, just because I've done so little of it.
Yep. Final bit of update news, speaking about winners and awards, we've been running for the past couple of weeks a chance for you to comment on a weekender from a couple of weeks previous where you could win a Joan of Arc Dragon.
So good looking.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Meter wingspan.
It's just absolutely stunning. And we have chosen our winner from the few hundred of comments that were on that video. And the winner is...
Itchard Pirate?
Itchard Pirate. Itchard
I
Pirate.
think I said it right.
Yeah, I think so. Sounds a little bit naughty, doesn't it? If you're not already there, come along. I think he is a member of beastawards.com. So make sure in the top left-hand corner, just there, head up and hit claim your prize and get in touch with us so we can get that dragon arranged for you. I am uber jealous. If you don't do it within the next few months, I might just put my name in.
Well, you see, here's the thing as well. Because it is still on Kickstarter, it probably will be a while delivering. So just be ready for that.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to be back to you with some news. There's also, in this episode, a chance for you to win a prize for Chain of Command. Is that right?
Yes, it's the Ultimate Chain of Command Starter Bundle. Basically everything you need to get up and playing the game. Minus the miniatures, of course.
Yeah, so we haven't mentioned it yet, but we are going to actually have Justin sit down and have a bit of a chat with Richard from Too Fat Lardies. So he's sharp practice, Chain of Command, and you're going to have a chat with him about campaigns and designing.
Yeah, it's a specific type of campaign they do, but we'll get onto that later in the show.
Awesome, right, guys? We will be right back.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsun Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. It's time for some news, and there's a lot of it. First one today, Shadespire is now officially out for release.
It is, yeah.
You excited?
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested for this because I've got myself a copy of the game, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that Games Workshop have been doing is they've been talking about sort of the deck building elements that are coming out in the game, which I thought was pretty cool. And there's actually, I think, some videos and stuff up that they've been messing around with, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because obviously one of the big things about the game that you guys have already talked about when it comes to all the other factions, and you've done your Let's Play as well, which came out this week, is that there's the deck building element as well as the sort of standard stuff with the miniatures and things. So you've got some really good opportunities for playing around with the decks and sort of focusing things towards the way that you want to do your objectives and the sort of upgrades you get in your characters.
I love the art on these cards, something shocking. I actually think they're stunning. We mentioned it, I think, in the unboxing videos we did as well, Justin, where we talked about just how nice, especially some of the Uruk art for the boys. They've really captured the detail and they've kept them all nicely. I know nicely coloured, but they're themed very well together. So even when you come to mix those universal cards in with your faction cards, they're going to stand out. And yeah, they work together in a nice way.
And they're doing a nice thing as well that I've realised as well with these is that they've teased some of the other factions that are obviously coming in the game. They're putting the artwork. So
yeah, because you got
the Skaven in there, which is
yeah.
pretty awesome. And then one of the other factions that I think they showed off in some of the artwork maybe a month or so ago was the Fire Slayers. So we're going to see some dwarves, the Duardin, sorry, I suppose you'd say, popping up. So
you're happy about that, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's really cool. I can't wait for that. It's going to be wicked. So maybe that's what I'm going to go for after I've sort of painted up the Stormcast and stuff.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Now,
But,
which of the current 4 factions have you excited the most, Ben?
well, I've got to say I'm quite a big fan of Stormcast Eternals, and I love the idea of Steelheart and his bros. It's pretty awesome, and
Steelheart.
ladies as well, of course.
Yes.
But I also quite like the idea of painting up the Uruks as well because I want to go for that sort of larger, sort of like beefy unit as well. I think they would be pretty cool. I'm not so settled on what I want to do for the Sepulchral Guard. I think that could be quite interesting.
Oh, you come in and get the name right. Oh, nice and smooth. Took me like 35 different efforts to say Sepulchral.
Do you know what he did?
What did he do?
He cheated. He watched the Games Workshop video there first.
Oh yes, because doing research is so bad. We spend a lot of our time doing research in the show. Doesn't make me speak any clearer. Sepulchral.
Sepulchral Guard.
Sepulchral.
Sepulchral Guard.
Sepulchral.
Either way, yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to see how they all work. I'm looking forward to trying out the Bloodbound guys as well. But I think my flag is planted with the Stormcast Eternals, I think, for this one. Because I love the models anyway, and it's going to be really nice to see how they come together. And I really want to play around with the way that the objectives work in the game, because obviously they've got these sort of mid-game sort of objectives and then the longer-term ones as well. And so I want to see what's going to be best for tailoring between the two. Because I reckon there's going to be some interesting meta developing between the factions, which would be quite good, especially if this goes towards the organised play thing that they want to do with this. So it'd be good to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, and that's one of the most interesting things for me, because I don't know why, but I find myself dragged towards the orcs. In this particular orc, yeah, we all know what they are. They're big black orcs, like they really are. And I would never normally play the big, slow, bumbling kind of ferocious guys. That's not me in any role-playing game or any tabletop game before. But for some reason, the mechanic and the cards specifically about them taking damage and becoming frenzied and going into that upgraded stance, and how easily they can kind of just dish out a ton of damage while soaking up lots. The movement and slow and the tactical aspect of it, actually, I just went, you know what, I think I'm okay with. There's enough objective-based points cards mixed in with the other kill someone this turn, kill 2 guys this turn, have 3 guys bloodied this turn to make it interesting that you play whatever way you want. And that's made me go, I could do a wee orc warband.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the look of the skeletons, for the fact that you have so much flexibility on the board.
So you're not doing the corn.
See, I always do either the good guys or the bad guys. That's the main one. So either chaos or the forces of good.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this could be something different. I've never painted skeletons before.
Lloyd will sort you out. Lloyd will keep you in.
My other thinking is they have the most units on the actual field.
Yeah.
And you can keep rezzing them.
Yeah.
That is going to annoy your opponents no end.
Yeah, and it's that if you
and
haven't,
then they come back when they're with the upgraded form as well.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it already, we have an unboxing of the
Sepulchre Guard.
them.
I was going to say it really fast so that even if I do get it wrong, no one knows.
This guy's on the ball. Go on, Ben. We'll put a link to it in the show notes on beastofwar.com, so you can go and have a look at the unboxing. And one of the core mechanics of the game is that you have 4 activations in each round.
Yeah.
But you get 7 skeletons to activate. But your leader allows you to activate 2 in one go, which means the tactical options and how easy you can surprise your opponents with that faction's really intriguing to me. If we just get a 4th player, then we just need someone to take on the corn, and we could have ourselves a wee.
Don't do that.
And I think I have heard as well that they're actually going to be putting some rules out there for multiplayer stuff as well. So instead of it just being one-on-one, there's going to be options for you to be able to play with 3 and 4 players as well. So
those are
cool.
already in the book.
Are they already in the book as well?
There was something about them. I didn't read that part because it wasn't.
Because I wasn't sure whether or not they're going to be in like a white dwarf or something.
It actually showed a 4-player board layout in the book,
well,
so there is stuff in there for it.
That's cool.
So the way it works is each player brings a board to the battlefield, and so instead of linking 2 together for each player, you link a board in. So you would have 4.
Wow.
So if you pre-ordered it, and it should maybe be arriving today, if you're watching this on Saturday, let us know how it's gone for you so far. Let us know what you think of the 2 factions. And the big thing for me is the deck building. As of yet, I haven't amalgamated any of the new expansion boxes with the core
sort of
set.
looked at it in its whole.
Yeah, I haven't. And for me, actually, that's being a Netrunner background and like my card games, like in Destiny, obviously. That could be a real hook. That I haven't yet explored, so I might have to sit down with them and have a bit of a tinker.
But yeah, sort of, as I say, the thing that the Games Workshop did with their video, they're giving us a little bit of a primer, sort of like their top tips for what you should be doing
for each of the
and looking
factions.
at kind of thing. So it'd be nice to see how that comes together. But obviously, the best thing to do is to do it yourself.
Yeah.
No net decking here.
No. Oh, look.
The miniatures
look
themselves
at these
do
minis.
look great. I can see why you like these guys, Ben. They do have that really heroic feel to them.
I think the paint jobs are absolutely astounding. The minis are very nice, as Justin, as you and I know, because in the Let's Play, we did have a good time in the Let's Play.
Yeah, we really did.
I did enjoy the movement and sort of the arena aspect of it, something that I don't really play that often in board games. So it was a little bit intriguing, and I think trying to choose which objective cards you were going to chase after was tricky. So as a kind of first game, it was enough to tease, but now after the Let's Play, I'm kind of like, what more can I get from it now? Like, how can I learn from my mistakes? Spoilers.
Well, no, the demo game's out. Everybody should have watched that.
Yeah. So if so, you can check that out. That's on the channel, of course.
Yeah.
So next piece of news then. So we mentioned that next Saturday we're going to have a chat with Rob to sit down from Mantic Games to sit down and talk about Vanguard, but they have started to deliver and start to produce some news, is that right?
Yeah. So this is Kings of War Vanguard, and the sort of focus behind this, it's going to be on Kickstarter. And the idea is that it's going to be looking at sort of the Vanguard forces, the scouting forces that would be going ahead of your main armies in the games of Kings of War, and sort of how they would interact with each other in the different scenarios and things like that. So, for example, here we've seen some of the really cool Basileans, and there's also the Night Stalkers, which are their sort of other faction they're going to be working on as well, which is the sort of monstrous beasties.
Oh, yes.
If I can get this working.
So, yeah.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And as I say, one of the big things for this is there's going to be a lot of scenario-based stuff. It's only going to be around sort of 10 models or so each aside as well, which is pretty cool. So it's all going to be focused around the idea of stack cards and using actually some of the dice mechanics, I think, that they learnt from Walking Dead All Out War, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the big things that I really liked from some of their preview articles that they've been doing is their sort of focus towards the idea of this fatigue mechanic.
Yeah.
And so, not to go into it too much, obviously we'll learn a little bit more about it in the coming week or whatever. But the fatigue mechanic allows you to do that sort of heroic thing with your models, so you can push them that little bit extra. You can do their special abilities, but is it going to pay off? And so there's a nice risk and reward element to things, which I thought is always good. And it's nice to see in a skirmish game because that's what you want. You want the heroic actions of the individuals going on. So,
it also means that if you're curious about a faction that you're maybe thinking of going for Kings of War, you can sort of dip into it a little bit, get a little set of miniatures for this. And actually start getting a feeling flavour for it.
Yeah, it's one of the things we've always talked about when it comes to a lot of the bigger sort of mass battle games, is having that ability to play with a smaller force, maybe it be through role-playing games or skirmish games, in Vanguard in this case, and then being able to extend it beyond there, and sort of telling a little bit of a story as you play your game, which I thought was really cool. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually a big fan of the art, specifically on the first article there where you have the first image that they've released, actually, if you can bring it back up, Justin, where they have the attack. Yeah, bring that one up again. Like, just the detail in this one's absolutely stunning. Nick, is this guy on the right-hand side being absolutely just being cut in half? And just,
he's been cut in half by that Basilean warrior,
so like the mixture of tentacles and teeth and claws and smoothness. Who are these? So what's the name of the beast? Do you have it?
So they're the Night Stalkers.
The Night Stalkers. Yeah. It's not really like anything I've kind of seen.
Well, no, because we've seen them looking towards sort of the Abyssals, obviously, in Mantica and things, but this is a new faction set aside from that, I think, which is...
I'm liking the look.
Or is it part of the Abyssal stuff?
Oh,
no make enemies down. Yeah. I cover this with Rob in the interview, so you'll have to wait for it.
And see,
Oh, what a tease. So next Saturday we'll have
watch it.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next up in the news, man?
Next up, we're actually looking at some stuff from the guys at Dark Age. So obviously they've got their new releases coming out, and one of the big things is they've been collecting together a few more of the different Dragiri Shadowcast into some new boxes. So some of the models you've been seeing coming out from the end of Gen Con and over the last couple of years have been pulled together into a couple of new box sets. Again, one of the big things about these guys and one of the real pulls towards Dark Age for me has been the Dragiri themselves. Yeah. Because they have this fascinating aesthetic and look to them, which meshes together like this brutal look like we see here with the specialists. And then obviously we've got a little bit more of a lithe look to a lot of their creatures as well. So it's really nice to see them looking towards this sort of more alien look to the creatures.
What's his weapons made out of? They look like there's crystal.
Yeah, it is crystal. Yeah. So the Dragiri are actually an alien race. Each one, they have a few different casts, so they're tied to an element. So you have the ice cast, the air cast, the fire cast. Okay. These are the shadow cast. Yeah. These guys are essentially the black ops of the Dragiri faction. They work in the shadows, and they do very not nice things.
Yeah, they're really, really epic. I do love the bases on them as well.
Yeah, I love this guy. I believe he's a death device, but you see the faces coming out of his skin.
Oh, right at the shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize those.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Scary biscuits.
What else have we got there? Let's see, have a look back through.
The Brood.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first time this month that we actually get to see the Brood coming out with their faction starter set. As with most of the stuff that's been coming out of Dark Age, we're going to see a lot more of these reinvigorated sculpts and things. And so now we're going to see the Brood coming back with some really nice looking sculpts. We've had a couple teasers here and now over the last couple of months or so, but yeah.
You see, this is the guys at CMON going back, doing a full resculpt on the faction, because the older miniatures, they were great in their day. But they needed an update.
A little. Okay.
This has done a beautiful job of it. So as I know you don't really know who the Brood are, so the Brood are basically biomechanical creations. Okay. The world that Dark Age is set on was essentially an illegal testing site for corporations. And one of these was a bioweapons corporation. So the fall happened. Everybody who could get off the planet did. And basically this faction has been left alone in the lab for centuries. Growing, evolving. Okay. And when humanity comes back and actually starts exploring their area of the world again, and they discover the Brood, they look at it and go, shit, monsters, kill now. The Brood, however, look at humanity and go, our creators, our gods have returned, our parents have returned, why is it burning me?
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So did they evolve these, like, because the weapons and the
You have
the bone
the
claws coming
broodmere.
right out?
You have the broodmere,
Yeah.
which is essentially the mother of all the brood, right?
Yeah.
So this is like the ultimate science experiment that was able to survive when the rest all died, and it has been creating these new creations and trying to make better and better.
So yeah,
things.
they didn't develop like this in the lab. They did this after realizing, we're being burninated by our human,
Well, yeah,
our
kind of.
counterparts.
But you can see even some of the weapons, it looks just like raw, rough metal that has been grabbed and reforged. You know, the shields just look like paneling that has been ripped off a wall and a handle stuck onto it.
Yeah.
And then the broodhounds look so much better than the old ones. They actually look vicious now.
Yeah, they genuinely do. There's no doubt in that at all.
Yeah, but
Cool.
that's the brood.
But yeah, as I was saying, one of the big things about this is that obviously the Dragiri, with this huge draw towards the world of Dark Age, because this new reinvigorated look to the models, I reckon the Brood are going to be kind of the same kind of thing going forward now. I reckon the Brood are going to be the kind of faction that will draw people in and be like, that looks fascinating and stuff. So,
Yeah, the Dragiri definitely have a bit of a, in your basement kind of look about it. A little bit like, do you know?
that was a diplomatic way of putting
Yeah, I'm
it.
trying.
Well, what are you
think of
trying
it.
to say is in my basement?
Yeah, but, wherever you want to do it, and just they look. Well, maybe not those guys. Yeah, maybe not the Shadowcast.
I don't know. If you visit the right nightclub, I'm sure you can find someone like that.
Oh my! Whatever floats your boat. I'm not gonna. Do you know what? I think the sculpts are absolutely amazing. That's enough to make me want to try a little starter box out and see what it's like to play.
It's a very, very fun game system. Definitely worth a look. It's one thing I have a great respect for CMON for. Is that they actually are not scared to go back and revisit those factions.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of companies, they would just leave the sculpts and keep bringing new stuff out. The fact that they're going back to update those old sculpts, fantastic work.
Cool. So, another little bit of news then, Ben. What's up next?
Yeah, so next up, we're actually looking towards the world of Forge World and Warhammer 40,000.
Okay.
And
World of Forge World.
the world of
The
Forge
Forge World.
World. It's quite a lot of stuff
thing
in there
now.
now, right? Yeah. Okay, but yeah, so this is the new super heavy tank that has been designed for the Primaris Space Marines.
Oh, here we go.
So this is going to be one of the big resin kits that comes out of these guys. So yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit of it's a little bit of an upgrade over the last tank that we saw that came out a couple of months ago now.
The Primaris one, the Repulsor, is that the one you're thinking
Repulsor,
of?
that's
Yeah,
the one,
so
yeah.
it's hover. This is a hover tank, right? So
Yeah.
Yes.
I
As
think it
hover
has
tanks
less
go-
weapons than the last one.
are you sure?
Well,
I think it does, because I was
you
looking at the
sure?
codex recently, and it's just like half a page of weapons on it.
but the pays are yeah, they're
I'm
they're
seeing
huge.
heavy bolter, twin last cannon, and something new on top.
What is that on top?
yeah, so the new weapon on top is actually called the Macro Accelerator Cannon. Okay.
So it makes you run really fast.
Yes. Away from it.
No, macro accelerator. Surely that's got to be your key bindings right there.
PC nerd joke. There we go. But yeah, so this fires 12 shots. They're -2 AP, so -2
not bad.
penetration, and it does 3 damage with each of the different shots it fires.
Ooh.
So this
Flat
thing's
3
going to
damage
be
is nice.
nasty as hell.
Oh my word.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we have a power points cost? Do we know
We don't have any of that just yet, I'm afraid. I think this is going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks or so we should see it popping up on the Forge World web store and stuff. So,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure if the Tower came across one of those, we could just commandeer it.
Yeah,
I don't know, because
stick some railguns on the top.
Yeah.
if you want to remortgage your house, you could pick up a Manta.
No thanks.
Have you not seen it?
No thanks.
It's about the size of this table.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any chance I'll be affording to pick up a Manta.
I have
Manta
at
Ray?
least-
Manta Ray?
I at least have 1 or 2 friends who want to pick up that damn thing.
Wow.
It'll carry an entire company of tires.
Surely you could, when it comes to big model purchases, would you go halfers on it and you can have it Monday to Thursday and I'll have it Friday to Sunday?
No.
No.
I don't need a repeat of the Big Bang Theory when they bought a time machine. Because that thing is big enough to be awkward to transport.
It's pretty awkward. to
It's
transport.
potentially the kind of thing you could buy as a club, though. That could be kind of cool. If you wanted to do a combined project as a club, that could be kind of awesome.
If someone put that tank on the table in front of you, would you just focus it, or would you just be
Yes.
like, I'm just going to ignore it?
You see, that's the
Kill
thing.
it?
Big tanks like these are like the bullet magnets and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well,
so
laser magnets. in this
laser
case,
magnets,
but
I
yeah.
suppose you'd say. Yeah.
Yes, I would. It's one thing that a couple of people I used to know did a lot. They would take a regular unit, right? Paint it up, absolutely gorgeous, go to town on it, make it look as beautiful as possible.
Yeah.
And their opponents would always target it because people love destroying beautiful things.
Straight out of Fight Club.
So if you're not winning, because the grand tournament I think ended last week in Forge World, the first stage of like the 3 stages of the grand tournament.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I think that they held in Forge World. So if you didn't do too well in the tournament and need some tactics, paint your bad units really nicely and your good units really badly. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, yes.
Yeah. So once you don't mind the flesh of the flock.
I guarantee you, if this weekend, keep an eye out for it. Whenever we have our event
open day, okay.
So on Sunday, whenever we have our 40k Open Gaming Day, if there is a beautifully painted unit, have a look at it and see how often it gets shot.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to do a
It'll
secret.
work.
I'm going to do a secret tally. Let's hope no one coming tomorrow watches this beforehand.
I know at least one of you do.
Okay. Well, yeah.
One thing I was going to say, it's going to be fascinating seeing what Forge World do going forward, because obviously they've not really touched the Primaris line until now.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, because obviously, you know, they play around with upgrade kits and things.
Oh, yeah.
But now they're moving into doing a proper big vehicle. Maybe we're going to see them looking towards some more new Primaris flyers and stuff like that.
Because Primaris are bigger than Space Marines.
Yes.
So Forge World already make things bigger. So now they're going to make things bigger things bigger.
Bigger things.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we won't see is any pre-heresy Primaris.
No.
Because they are recent introductions, so it will always be that modern style. But I have to wonder if there will maybe be a very specialist unit that might come out from Forge World.
Could well be.
Which
Oh
could
yeah,
be
we could see units rather than just vehicles. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, like specialist units. You know, something that. What's the tech priest name?
Belarius Call. That's his name.
Go ahead.
Something he was perhaps experimenting with, which didn't exactly work.
Yeah.
And maybe a very small specialist unit of what did work.
Also, the Primaris founding allows them to do some interesting things with new potential chapter stuff as well. So maybe we see some more things coming out for some of those guys.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would love to see some Primaris like motorbikes brought out.
Oh yeah.
Revisit the Space Marine bikes. Would be very cool.
Oh, actually, some White Scars forces done Primaris style.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like there is a redesign on Forge World, a very sleek, beautiful looking bike.
Yep.
I would love to see something like that for the Primaris.
That'd be pretty awesome, actually. I could get behind that. I'd like to see, because can Primaris, they can't go into Rhinos or Razorbacks, or can they? Are they able to
I
go
think
in?
they can still
I think they
fit.
still go in. Okay. Because I would love to see a big Storm Talon or a big flying transport, or just a huge Primaris vehicle that's not one of the Land Raider vehicles or one of the
You
vehicles.
could get the assault ram from Forge World. It's like a double proud hover thing.
Yeah.
So it's got assault ramps on the front of it. On the other side, it's two of them. And it just looks like a big battering ram rolling up.
It's meant to
We
just
have
smash straight
one
through.
on the
Picture in
page, I'll show you.
Ooh, okay. All right, well, look, that's us up for news. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. Justin is going to have a chat with Richard, is that right?
Yes, so we're having a look at the pint-sized campaigns that the guys from Chain of Command do. And basically, this is to avoid campaign burnout, which is a big problem. So we'll be right back after this.
Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastofwar.com. Twisted aliens and demented cultists battle across the devastating science fiction world of Dark Age. Muster your forces and learn to survive at beastofwar.com.
For those out there who do not know you and don't know Too Fat Lardies, what do you guys do?
Okay, well, Too Fat Lardies have been developing historical rule sets since 2000.
2000?
Yeah, since
Wow.
2000. We've been in the hobby for kind of a bit longer. I've been writing articles in magazines such as War Games Illustrated going back to about 1990, which is showing my age. And I write a regular column and have done in War Games Soldiers and Strategy magazine for the past 6 years.
Okay, so the games we're going to talk about today is Chain of Command. So
Yeah,
we're looking at World War II,
World War II.
but the key thing is you guys are doing what you're calling pint-sized campaigns. Now, what is this?
Okay, yeah, well, Chain of Command are a World War II rule set, really looking at actions platoon size plus. So your core force is going to be a platoon, and you're going to get some support there as well. So it might be a couple of tanks, might be anti-tank gun, might be a mortar barrage, that type of thing. But one of the things we did was we liked the idea of playing a game, which, you know, we all do. I put my army on the table and you put yours on the table.
Yep.
But we kind of thought, wouldn't it be nice if we had a little bit more continuity to it? So we were seeing an ongoing story develop. So we produced a supplement called At the Sharp End, which is basically a campaign manual for Chain of Command. So if you like, you can pick that up and you can design your own campaign from it. But we thought, wouldn't it be nice if we were also developing campaigns for people so they could buy them from us and put them on the table.
Yeah.
And we called them pint-sized campaigns for 2 reasons. One, and this is a really good reason, is they cost the price of a pint in our Lard Island local pub. So they're just £3.60 at the moment, yeah, unless I start drinking something. If I should really go on to pints of gin.
He's not going top shelf. He's not going top shelf, don't worry.
But yeah, so they're nice and cheap. You can download them, and the great thing is that you can just print out 1 sheet for each battle. So you don't need to print out the whole thing. They tend to be about 30-odd pages long. They give you a little bit of historical background, so you know what you're doing. They tell you what your objectives are, and they tell you what forces that you can choose from for the campaign.
So there's a little bit of guidance on what from your collection you're going to want to bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they run out a series of scenarios, which basically work like a ladder. So I'm fighting up a ladder, and you're kind of fighting down the ladder, and I'm trying to get to your end of the ladder, and you're trying to get to my end of the ladder and win.
I see.
So what we do is we've taken those, and they're based on historical situations, historical incidents. So the first one we wrote was a campaign called 29 Let's Go, which was about the US 29th Infantry Division heading inland from Omaha Beach. It started on the day after D-Day, and they've got about 3 or 4 days to get through to capture a really important bridge near Carontown. Everybody's heard about Carontown with Band and Brothers. Right, so that basically ran for 5 actions, and it means you can follow your force through those 5 actions. The Germans are trying to hold up the Americans in their advance, and the Americans are trying to push through and capture the really important bridge. Yeah. And the thing that we really like about the campaigns is that they've got to be small, and they've got to be fairly tight, in as much as you don't want to have a campaign that's going, right, we're going to start at Omaha Beach and we're going to end up in Berlin, because that's really not going to work. You've got to have something which has got to be limited objective, so we know that you and a friend are fighting for, let's say, 4, 5, 6 games, and you're going to see a result, and at the end you can measure how well you've done. Have you got a crushing victory over me, or have you just edged it? And what we're doing is we're rolling out a number of these campaigns, and we're covering things like the Eastern Front. We've got, for example, one covering the Grossdeutschland division at Kursk. We've got one which is covering Hans von Luck and his Kampfgruppe attacking on D-Day in Normandy. We're now rolling them out where we're starting one which is a Stalingrad campaign. We're actually going to make that a trilogy. So it's going to be a 3-part campaign where we've got a German pioneer force which is advancing towards Stalingrad in the first campaign. In the next one, they're going to be fighting their way into the city, and then in the final one, they're going to be actually really fighting in amongst the factories. So that's going to be quite fun. So you can just pick one of them up, or you can run all 3 in continuity. We've got one which is covering Old Hickory, which is the US 30th Division in Normandy, where they're fighting to hold up the German counterattack at Mortain. Basically, the thing about a campaign is you start off with your core force, but as you take casualties, you've got to make decisions, not just battlefield decisions, but decisions about how you're going to keep that platoon fighting as effectively as possible. So my section's lost a couple of men, but what do? Do I reinforce the Vickers and maybe break this company down and just keep it as a Bren team rather than a whole section? So it introduces lots and lots of different ideas where you're playing good fun games, but you're also trying to keep your force as effective as possible. Maybe in some campaigns you get an opportunity where you're pushing forward with one platoon, but you know you've got a reserve platoon, which you can, when these guys have kind of fought themselves to a standstill, you can throw in a second one and keep advancing.
I see.
But the thing about the campaigns is that it just adds an extra dimension to what's happening in your games, rather than just being a game where I fight you and hey, we shake hands at the end of it and I win and feel great about it and go home, or more likely you win and I go home crying. It means that you're thinking, okay, well, I want to win this game, but hey, I don't want to really hurl my forces at you. I've got to try and keep these guys in action so they're going to be able to carry on for the next action.
See, this was the thing I was going to ask you. As soon as I heard Omaha Beach to Point X, I did wonder if you were going to do, here's the pint-sized campaign 1, and then actually do more and more and more that actually lead you eventually all the way to Berlin.
That's something that's a really good point, actually, because that's something I really want to do with the 29th Infantry Division, because they actually ended up down south in southern Germany, but right the way to the point where they're going to end the war. And wouldn't that be great to follow those guys right the way through, all the way through to that point?
Yeah, and it gives it to you bite-sized, so you can learn the history, learn what they were up to at each phase of the actual operation.
And actually, it's kind of replicating on the tabletop that Band of Brothers thing, where in that whole Band of Brothers series, you see them fight their way through to Berchtesgaden at the end, to Hitler's mountaintop lair. Well, you could follow another unit through by doing that. Now, we know that people love to have a bit of history in their games. But what we also know is that, hey, it takes a lot of work to do that history. So the thing what we're trying to do is we're trying to do the historical research for you and package that up so you can say, hey, this is really good, but I don't have to go out and buy 20 books. I can just buy the pint, because we've bought the 20 books, but you can just buy the pint-sized campaign and get that bit of history.
Yeah, and just, even if you were doing it one a month.
Yeah, and just learn your way through.
That sounds good.
You know, without the pain of learning it, kind of that information just seeps in from playing that game, and it gives you a feel for what it's like to, you know, command men. You can't just chuck them at the enemy because you're hoping to win this one battle. You've got to keep those guys ready for the whole campaign. Yeah,
it sounds a bit more value to the lives of the troops on the tabletop, which is a very interesting thing. Something that I've not really seen in games so far is seeing that actually this guy, this unit, if I chuck them in there, they're going to take a hammering, but I know that if he's focusing on them, this other unit that's already took a bit of a hammering can actually get back in the fight.
Well,
I look at it and go, do I want to?
Now, to make that even more kind of pertinent, there's several things that we track at the sharp end with the pint-sized campaigns. So one of the things we track is what your boss thinks of you. So if you're leading a platoon, we're tracking how successful you are in those actions, and that determines how your company commander or battalion commander is reacting to you. Now, if he's getting cross with you, he's going, maybe I'm not going to give you all those support points that you'd normally get. I'm going to hold them back because I don't trust you because you're getting too many men killed. We're also tracking how your men are feeling about you as a leader, because it might be that they're going, our force morale's not too strong because this guy's developing a reputation for being a bit of a butcher. So you've got to think about what they're thinking of you. And we're also tracking what your character as a platoon commander is, how he's feeling about himself. And, you know, we've got situations where, well, tracking this on the Matrix, you could see these guys having a bad time and turning to drink, at which point they're starting to get a bit gung-ho, and then at which point they're starting to get a bit morose. On the other hand, they could be feeling really buoyed up and optimistic about what they're doing. So tracking those three different things, you might find that your boss is really pleased with you because you're achieving the objectives, but your men absolutely hate you and don't want to serve under you. And you could get to a point where one night a little grenade rolls under your camp bed. On the other hand, if you don't keep your boss happy, you could find yourself kind of detailed to a latrines unit and end up cleaning up all sorts of things you don't want to clean up.
That has such a nice psychological aspect to the actual gameplay.
Well,
I've never seen that before.
And one of the other things we like to do is we suggest to people, and they don't have to do it, is that they roll a few dice at the start of the campaign, and that tells you where your key characters are from. So it'll tell you where you could have an officer from Milwaukee who used to work in an office, and his sergeant used to be a farmer from Idaho, and you get a little bit of background to these guys, and then give them a name and follow them through their career. Again, like Band of Brothers, it's a little bit of chrome, a little bit of detail that really gets you involved.
Flavor.
Yeah, and that sergeant who's been with you since D-Day, you want him to go up that hedgerow and you want him to assault that MG position, but you know what? You've fought together for the last 4 or 5 months. It really makes you feel those decisions that those commanders must have been feeling for reality.
So there is no more of just random soldier A, random soldier B, Mr. Win C.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of chrome and a little bit of something to make you think about it, as well as enjoying your games, and follow those guys in their career path, and they can get medals. So
Shiny Timbits.
Yeah, so it allows you to do the whole Band of Brothers thing, as we're saying.
That's really nice to be able to put down on the tabletop. I mean, like, actually having a campaign where it's not just we're just playing some linked games. Actually having it that no, your games are having an effect on the overall thing. Boss isn't happy with you. You're not getting reinforced this week. However, your men love you, so they're really ready to go for you.
Yeah.
You know, having
That's right.
kind of a playthrough on it is going to change up the dynamics of the game. Because all right, with Richard over, we have been playing games after games after games. We'll not tell you the results just yet. You'll have to watch those videos. But having that as a set of linked games, I think is going to be really good. Now, let's say someone out there, they love historical, but World War II isn't their baby.
Okay.
What other time periods can people look at whenever they're playing games made by you guys? What other games do you have for different periods?
Wow. Well, over the years, I mean, you know, this is testing my memory now. But the earliest period of, that we've developed a set of rules for was a set of Dark Ages rules called Dux Britanniarum, which really starts at the point around 400 AD, where the Romans leave and the Britons are kind of defending themselves from the Saxon invasion. And that's all a game about conquest, where the Saxons, the campaign is built into the game. Britain is made up of tiny kingdoms that might be a size of just a couple of counties, modern counties, and the Saxons are trying to land there because they come from these swamps on the German coast where, you know, it's not much fun and you just have to have eels for breakfast and eels for lunch and eels for dinner, unless you happen to catch a badger or something horrible. So they're very keen to come and live in Yorkshire where, you know, there's all nice things happening. So that's a big campaign game of conquest and defence of the land, and we've got some supplements for that covering covering the Irish and the Scotti and the Picts. So there's a great campaign there to become High King of Ireland. So it could be you.
Justin, High King of Ireland.
Noble looking man, there we go. Yeah.
This has a nice ring to it, I like it.
So we've got that. We actually published the original set of Kriegspiel rules, which were the German army's war games rules, which were developed in 1824, which is kind of a big historical thing that people can actually play the battles that really kind of were the foundation of the whole wargaming thing. We published a set of rules for the First World War, Mud and Blood. We obviously produced Sharp Practice covering the 19th century, 18th century.
Fights, yes.
Absolutely right. We produce a set of rules called Bag the Hun, which is for aerial combat in World War II.
Bag the Hun.
Bag the Hun. Great name. And I'll tell you where we got the name. My dad was an RAF pilot in the Second World War, and the manual he had on deflection shooting was not called Manual 3572A, it was called Bag the Hun, and it was such a great title that we used it for the set of rules. It was really good. We produced a set of naval warfare rules for the Black Powder period called Kiss Me Hardy, based on a famous quote by Admiral Nelson.
You guys are good at names.
Well, I'm not sure. We produced a company level set of World War II rules, which is in its 3rd edition now, called I Ain't Been Shot, Mum. Which kind of was pretty similar size to Flames of War, but it kind of took the idea that troops were not really, you know, that gung-ho lunatics, and it takes real good commanders to get them to do heroic things. Hence the title. That was the first set of rules we ever published. We've
obviously Chain of Command.
Obviously Chain of Command, yeah. So we produced an awful lot of rules over the years, and covering a huge swathe of time, and we're always adding to that. But at the moment, to be honest with you, we're kind of really having fun playing Chain of Command and Sharp Practice, and developing new army lists and ideas for those two, which is great, because in the old days, what we used to do was keep publishing new rule sets. You'd write a set of rules, and then you kind of stopped playing that because you got onto developing the next set. But we've decided, hey, we're really enjoying these two, so we're just gonna keep playing them and keep really enjoying them, which has been great. So we're spending a lot of time developing new things like the pint-sized campaigns for those.
Well, here's a question: would you ever be tempted into doing something modern?
Oh, wow, now that's an interesting one. Yes, I have been tempted into doing something modern, and we have been working on a modern version of Chain of Command, which has really been looking at counterinsurgency warfare in places like Afghanistan and potentially Iraq.
Yes.
And that's something that we've been working very closely, talking to guys who've been out there and gals who've been out there doing the service. So that's something that's developing away in the background. But we're also potentially looking at doing a Cold War version of Chain of Command at some point in the future, because, you know...
Would it be Cold War gone hot, or...?
Yeah, it would be Cold War gone hot. So I'm really keen to set it about the 1980s, early 80s, where we've got lots of really kind of nice kit that's running about, and the, you know, Soviets in there, really quite funky... troop vehicles and really kind of very attractive uniforms, facing British Army of the Rhine, the Americans. But that's something for the future. We'll have to keep you informed on how that develops.
Yeah, like it's one of those things, because doing real world stuff, I never expect. No, I could be completely wrong, but I don't expect you guys to jump into fantasy sci-fi. You have historical down pat, and. It's one of the things I always say. History will tell you stories that are stranger than any fiction someone can imagine.
Do you know what? I used to play a lot of fantasy games when I was a lot younger. I played a lot of D&D before advanced D&D came out, so I'm really dating myself there. And I really loved fantasy gaming, and there's some great ideas that come out of it. But then I thought, well, hey, you know, if I'm taking a fantasy, if I'm buying into a fantasy world system, the only stuff I've got to read is the stuff that the companies produce. You know, they produce all this fluff and background
you're
information.
looking into someone else's world the whole time.
That's right. But if I kind of do World War II, there's an unlimited amount of stuff I can read up on and do. I could play Chain of Command in Normandy, just refighting historical platoon actions for 50 years and never run out of things to do, never run out of scenarios. And as you say, reality is more incredible than fiction. You know, when you read things like the accounts of how people win the Victoria Cross, or
Ollie Murphy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Key thing. This guy stood on the back of a burning Sherman, just firing a 50 cal at some Germans and just holding them up like nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody wrote it in a Hollywood script and they'd say, hey, get out of town, that ain't true. Now, they did write it in a Hollywood script, and actually Ollie Murphy played himself in the film about himself, and he said, yeah, this did happen because I did it. And that's the only way. If that had been a kind of story somebody had made up, they'd have said, no way, that's just unbelievable. Wouldn't happen. And those things, and that's kind of what one of the things we've tried to build into Chain of Command with the sequence is that presents certain opportunities to say, okay, that pillbox has got my guys pinned down, I've got a satchel charge here, I can see an opportunity, do I get running up that road and take a chance? Because those heroic things, they should be difficult, but hey, they've got to be able to happen. Yeah.
Well, Rich, is there anything else you'd like to cover with us?
No, I think just to say, you know, we hope that we're going to be able to produce loads more in the way of pint-sized campaigns, because they've had such a positive reaction. Great thing is, A, they're really cheap for you guys to buy, and B, they produce so much fun. I mean, all you have to do is do Chain of Command pint-sized campaign, search online, and you'll see loads of people having great fun with it. Before I came here this morning over breakfast, there was a guy giving a report in the last game of Camp Group Von Luck, and it really went to the wire, and the British paras just stopped Von Luck breaking through to Pegasus Bridge and saved the day. And it was lovely to read the report. These guys had actually played this campaign through twice and enjoyed it so much, you know, they did it another time, And you think, wow, great to see people really enjoying games, but also soaking up a bit of that history, it almost accidentally as they play it.
All right, well, I think the only thing to do is say thank you, Richard.
My
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody out there, get your comments in below. Do you like the idea of nice, self-contained campaigns that you can just lay down and play linked battles and then linked campaigns on through your games? And here's one for you. If you had to pick sort of a story from World War II or any point of history to actually work your way through in a campaign system, what would it be? So we'll move on here. We will see you a little later.
Hello, I'm Carlos from Corvus Belli Infinity, and you're watching The Weekender on beastsofwar.com.
Okay, so that is what the guys are doing with pint-sized campaigns. I think it's a fantastic idea to have a short, sharp campaign that you and your mate can just work your way through, and it keeps it so self-contained that if people jump in and jump out, it's not such a big issue. Because that's one thing I noticed whenever you do big grand campaigns. If, say, 2-3 people drop out halfway through, it completely screws the campaign up.
If someone starts to lose territory, if someone starts to be like, "No, I'm not going to win this campaign," it could just get a bit, and a few people drop off, and it ruins the whole thing. Having those little punchy,
a nice self-contained piece that you and a mate can work through, I like, and I like the fact that you can link it or not. Right, Kickstarters?
Yeah, well, just make sure you comment, guys, on the video here on beastofwar.com, or indeed on YouTube as well. I'm going to do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're
Beast of War, YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah, so if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, comment there as well, and you'll be in with a chance of winning one of those awesome starter sets for Chain of Command, which is great. So to round us off, Kickstarters, we have a couple of doozies. Ben, you have one and I have one. I think I almost want to battle it off.
One this week.
Sorry, just
all right.
I have one I'm excited about, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, yeah. So the first one is Gloom of Kilforth, which is a absolutely amazing fantasy card game that's come out. So this is actually a Kickstarter for the expansion for this, but you can also get yourself you get your hands on the core game as well. The sort of feel behind this is that it's a cooperative, and it also got a solo mode adventure card game. So if anybody's played the likes of the Pathfinder card game and stuff like that, it plays in that sort of wheelhouse. Same for the Firestorm game as well, coming out from Dungeons and Dragons as well. But yeah, this is an interesting new take on it. So you've got the expansion content here, which offers up new heroes, new adventures, new treasures, new dungeons to explore as well. As you can see, as we've been going through the Kickstarter as well, the artwork for this is absolutely fantastic.
And how do the basics of the game play? Like, if I'm sitting down to play a game, what are we doing?
Cool. So you'd sit down to play, and you'd be given sort of like a main quest that you'd be trying to complete. Okay. And then what you do is you choose what you want to do on your turn based on a number of different actions. So you can move
cooperatively or competitively?
Yes, all cooperatively.
Okay.
So it's all done. So you have a lot of table talk around the table as you're going around and stuff, and plan things out. But you can do things like you can move, you can go and loot places, you can go and explore dungeons, you can head into town, you can go to the tavern and start talking in like a bardic sense about your adventures, and that's how you level up. Yeah, he's a very dashing gentleman.
Meet a fine dandy.
Yeah.
That's quite the moustache he's got himself there.
Yeah. And so one of the big things about it is being able to help each other when you get into these situations. Yeah. So it's all about a little bit of forward planning and knowing where you need to go with other people. And the game sort of spreads out over quite a lengthy couple of sessions as you're playing through.
War Mammoth! Yeah, it's an elephant. I don't care anymore.
Oh, it's not furry enough for you.
So the premise is essentially... Whoa!
That's the card?
That is the card pool for Gloom of Kilforth.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome. Oh, look at that piece of art there.
That's lovely.
I must admit, I like the style of the orcs in this a lot. The black orc card and the assassin. So it's becoming a bit of I wouldn't say a common thing, but the whole cooperative game, which also happens to have a solo play mode, is becoming reasonably well used now. Look at that.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
Have you sat down to play any single player stuff? I have not done it.
I kind of did it with the Lord of the Rings card game, which has the solo element to it and stuff, which is pretty cool.
So Fantasy Flight,
the Fantasy Flight LCG, yeah. And I mean, that is really hard.
Yeah.
But I think all these games that are having this solo element, especially with the card game sort of area, they've been done for people that, would love to go and do some role-playing stuff, but they just don't get the chance. Maybe they don't have the group and stuff. Maybe they don't have the access to it online, or they don't feel comfortable doing it. These kind of card games allow you to do those kind of role-playing experiences, a little bit like Choose Your Own Adventure book would, but you get to play it down on the tabletop in the card game form.
Do you ever get tempted to cheat? Do you ever get tempted to be like, I'll just take that?
I mean, maybe there's been a couple of times where I've been fighting the...
Yeah, no, because I've just spent an hour and I just got killed by the Witch King. If I just changed that thing I did 10 minutes ago, I wouldn't have to do a whole hour again.
No, honestly, it's for single player gaming. The best one I have seen done, and I've played through it myself a couple of times, is Kingdom Death Monster has a single player mode.
Wow.
Okay.
Because it's you versus the actual AI.
No, that is punishing, because in Kingdom Death Monster you can just be like, I'm going to go for a walk. You were crushed by and you're crushed by a rock. Now you have one less movement, and you'll be like, oh. Okay, like it's like you make big romantic decisions and big there's real theme stuff in Kingdom Death Monster.
Romantic? No. We decided to be cannibals.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did.
You could be a romantic cannibal, couldn't you?
But don't you have the opportunity to make? But yeah, in Kingdom Death Monster, don't you have the opportunity to make new characters and stuff?
You do as you go through.
Yes. Basically, you have a settlement where new children can be born into. Yeah. You can find new survivors.
So you roll the dice, and it's like, oh no, you had one that isn't that bright. and you're like, maybe I could just roll the dice again.
No,
Or-
I do an honest playthrough if I'm ever playing Kingdom Death Monster.
You're Iron Man mode and you go through the games. Yeah.
It
Iron Man.
It actually is an Iron Man mode game.
I think, I don't think Kingdom Death Monster needs an Iron Man mode. It just is.
No,
It just
is. It's built in there from the ground up.
So yeah, I mean, the reason I asked you is because this looks like something I would quite embrace. The art is one part, but the card game aspect of it again is something I quite like. And I don't think I've played a Fantasy Quest game before.
See, that's the thing about it. It's that really nice high fantasy look to it that sort of drew people toward this game when it first came out on Kickstarter. That's why the expansion is doing exceptionally well as well. One of the other big things about it is that a game session only lasts 45 minutes.
Okay.
Wow,
So if you want to go through a set of encounters and just play a little bit of a dungeon crawl as well by yourself or maybe with another couple of people, and then take 45 minutes to get stuck in, which is pretty cool. So
that's nice and light. That's a coffee shop.
and
after work,
it's the kind of thing you want from what is essentially a card game, because card games for me always feel like they should be slightly lighter, I think, and so getting into a game like this 45 minutes seems pretty good.
So you're scratching your high fantasy, almost kind of role-playing development, that itch you've got, but also doing it nice and quick and briefly with something that's nice and snappy.
I
Cool.
don't know. Card games always feel a lot heavier to me because of the meta of deck building.
Well, you wouldn't have that with this.
No.
There's not going to be any meta, so that would remove that hurdle for you.
I suppose,
So Gloom Kill Forth is it's the expansion, but as Ben mentioned, you can get the core set in there, which was successful a couple of years ago. I believe it was funded successfully for the first core game.
Can you buy the core game on this Kickstarter?
Yes, you can.
The main set is there as well as the expansion, and there's a whole bunch of different stretch goals and Kickstarter exclusives. And all sorts of different
So there's
things,
9 days left on that if that one tickles your fancy.
Yeah.
I'm still excited for my second one. I don't want to take.
I'm not going to hold you back anymore.
I'm not going to take anything away.
Hang on, am I going to have to sit here and cast the deciding vote?
Yes.
Possibly.
Okay.
I'm actually hoping I'm going to win Ben over right now. Let's go for it. So Downfall. Scroll up a little bit. I need to get the word in. Here it comes. Downfall.
It won't go.
It won't go. Oh no! Downfall Deluxeified edition.
Trademark.
Deluxeified.
Deluxeified.
I don't think that's in the Oxford Dictionary.
Well, look, it's trademarked. This is by Tasty Minstrel Games. Deluxeified won me over at the start. I didn't have to scroll any further, but yeah, check this out. So this is a post-apocalyptic game, but unlike one that I've really seen before. This is generally a card game mixed in with a territory control game where you're going to be navigating around hexagons, you're going to be picking up resources, you're going to be cleaning up radiation, you're going to be rebuilding society, and each player is going to have their own faction to build your own research stations and clear up all the kind of oil and stone and stuff that you have to go out and gather to come bring that back. You'll have your own player board where you can basically grow food, get your technology, and command units into battle. But what's epic about it is the cards you're using to do all this is done through drafting. And this, so anyone not familiar with drafting, I love drafting because you get a hand of cards. So we bring them back up on the screen again, Justin. Leave them up. So if you go to some of the cards there, you'll see, there's a bunch. Yeah. So there's a bunch there. So a bunch of different cards, and each of the cards let you do different things. So one might say, for example, command. One might say research. One might say event. One might say build. Right? You've got a hand of these cards, and you choose one. And that's your action. But then what you've got to do is take all the cards you didn't choose, pass them to the next person around the table. Which means whatever options you didn't take, you're passing to your opponent. Which is awful because you know what you're giving them. And then you get new cards from the next person to your right, for example. Pick one, pass them on. That's how drafting works. But in a game where you're having to choose between what you want to advance, and this is a 4X game, so you're going to win through your usual politics, you're going to win through science, you're going to win through destructions, you're going to have multiple different options to command and conquer for this. You're able to control what you're doing and what other people are doing at the same time. To go on top of that, what Tasty Minstrel Games have done with this that really excites me is the war cards, which basically means start a war, they have research on them as well. So when you draft a war card, you have to choose to either have war or commit to some research. You can't do both, it's one or the other. Right. Which also means if I want to take a war card away from Ben, because I think Ben's about to attack me and I don't want him to have that tasty war card.
I am a warmonger, so yeah.
I could use it for research myself instead. So I'm not slowing myself down, I can actually still do research.
Because that's one of the things that has come up in certain drafting games where maybe you take a card to stop someone else getting it, but it doesn't really help you.
Exactly.
This is a nice remedy to that. I think,
what they also do is, rather than just normally in drafting, you would take a card away and you pass the remaining number along. what I believe, although it's not super clear, what I believe from the Kickstarter you will do instead is that card you took will be replaced with a winter card. And this is to represent the post-apocalyptic winter coming and potentially infringing on the board that you're all trying to actively explore together, this randomly generated hexagonal board. So now, you don't just have a choice of all the draft cards with your building and your research and commanding, you've also got a choice of this winter card, which will progress a random event track that's going to cause widespread things to happen to everybody.
And is that this thing on the right-hand side of the screen here?
I believe, yeah, if I bring up, so that looks like the event board on the right-hand side. You'll see that those little green squares followed by the kind of nuclear squares and then red and then a card. That little track on the left-hand side is essentially
turn tracker?
No, that's the event tracker that gets propelled by playing those winter cards.
See, I was going to say, I was looking at the stuff earlier and I was like, this doesn't look like a 4X game. And then you scroll down to that and you're like, okay, no, this is definitely
it's
a 4X game.
It's a card drafting game, and then all of a sudden, you each have your faction bases, and then you've got, I think it's 57, it's over 50 hexagonal tiles for you to explore around.
That's awesome.
This is mixing. Scroll in a little bit further, let's just show what some of those maps can look like.
Oh wow, the art's great.
Cool.
Yeah, it is really nice. And there's going to be, I mean, it's not for everybody. There's going to be lots of tokens. I'm fine with lots of tokens because you've got tokens for all your resources, your oil, your stone, your uranium. You also have to fight the environment. So radiation is going to be coming in. You have to choose when to go to war and choose that actually, if I don't eradicate that zone or I don't cleanse that zone, all my people are going to die there, for example. So it's mixing 4X, Explorer, hexagonal gameplay with card drafting, action mechanics, with everybody
survival in there.
With survival.
You know what? I would actually probably say that you maybe have won me over with this. I think I do like myself some 4X gameplay. Card drafting is also amazing.
Go in again to it. There's actually some really nice ships too. Can we scroll down? There's actually some really nice minis they have to represent. There we go. So we've got, there's the faction, the miniature leaders. Yeah. And you've got plastic airship minis to represent your traveling around the map. The deluxeified version, if you can see it in the top left-hand corner, comes with a foil stamped version. It's very pretty, very pretty.
Foil stamped.
It's also called deluxeified, which had me nearly at the. So.
How long is left on this? I'm tempted.
20 days.
20
That's
days.
going to run over the end of the month, isn't it?
It's going to run after payday. So this, yeah. When I saw this, TSC Minstrel Games have knocked it out of the park for me with this one.
In a word, sold.
Sold?
Sold.
So we don't have to do a vote then on which Kickstarter was best?
No, I think
no. Well done.
Sorry, Gloom of Kilforth. I mean, you're really nice.
No, yes, you are. Do you know, and the funny thing is, I've just potentially sold you on Downfall, but I would quite like to pick up Gloomforth. I keep saying it wrong. Gloom of Kilforth, sorry. I think the art and the idea of 45-minute quick card games, but having the fantasy itch and the role kind of role playing or ongoing campaign scratched for me, I might end up just backing that.
Should we just swap? No, Justin's definitely going to buy Downfall. So.
You can have it Monday through Thursday.
So you can pledge
so
for that.
Ben gets it on the weekends?
No, Ben lives in England. He
I
doesn't
take it home with me.
He doesn't. You can't trust him to post it back. Right, okay. Before we fight, look, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're going to wrap up the show here. If you're on youtube.com, on Facebook, come along to beastofwar.com. Make an account there. You can sign up for a 7-day free backstage pass, which means tomorrow morning, when we do this all again, a bit more relaxed, a bit more laid back on the XLBS, you can come along and watch there and see what we get up to also. So you're more than welcome. Leave us comments below. Hopefully you'll be in with a chance of winning that Chain of Command bundle. I wouldn't say no to it at all myself. And enjoy the rest of your hobbying weekend, everyone.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.